vegetables that have been cooked for a really long time. So it has a really nice light quality when you just use fresh water. And since we have it in the morning, that helps us to align with the lightening up of the atmosphere outside. So it makes a nice light breakfast. So we're going to use fresh spring water, a little bit of alaria or wakame. So wakame is just the Japanese version of alaria and vice versa. Alaria they sell in the Maine Coast sea vegetable shops, and wakame, of course, is Japanese. So these are instant wakame flakes, which can also be really nice to have on hand, and I especially like to take them when I'm traveling. The difference is alaria is a little bit hardier than Japanese, the wakame. The wakame flakes, you can just take it and put them in hot water and they're done. But if you have the regular wakame, not the instant, but the regular, you're going to soak both of them. However, the wakame you only soak for about 5 minutes. The alaria also 5 to 10 minutes, but it's a little bit hardier. So I've had this actually cook like up to 40 minutes, but usually 10 to 15 minutes is okay. The wakame, just a few minutes will be fine for it. Otherwise, it tends to get kind of slimy. So anyway, we'll use the instant today. Very highly nutritious and very easy to use. So I think it's kind of a fun and easy thing to show people, especially when you're starting out. It can be nice to not have to worry about soaking it. I use them often in my house.
I use that one too.
Yeah.
Which one, the instant?
Yeah, because what happens is you're making the soup, you're making your rice, and you forget to soak it, so then when you have that, you just put it in some water.
Yeah, that's what sometimes happens, yeah. So, the miso soup is recommended to have daily in the morning because it is alkalizing, number one. Breakfast is breaking the fast. So, literally after this mini fast, it's a great, having miso soup is a nice thing to do. It's alkalizing, it's liquidy, and so it warms up the digestion in a really gentle way and prepares us for the rest of the meal. Traditionally, it's been used to treat various types of heart disease, certain types of cancer, and also to mitigate the effects of radiation. So there's a lot of information about that in, I think, the China study. As a side note, miso is a complete protein. Soybeans are complete protein, so the tofu as well, a complete protein. And so that's also a nice thing. So miso is fermented soybean paste. Here we have the chickpea miso, so we're going to use a different one. A lot of times when you first start out, it's recommended to use one of the longer aged misos. There are young misos and older misos. The younger misos are the lighter colored misos. And that includes chickpea miso, even azuki bean miso actually, even though it's darker, it's just dark because the azuki beans are red, but it's a young miso. So it includes chickpea miso, azuki bean miso, sweet white miso, and I believe also millet miso. And actually, I'm fairly certain that azuki bean miso is a young miso. Don't quote me on that. I have to double check. But the traditional misos are sweet white, brown, red, barley, brown rice. These are the traditional, and hacho miso. Hacho miso is just soybeans and koji, which is, koji just, it means mold in Japanese, so that's the starter. So it's just soybeans and koji. It has a very strong taste and is very dark. I actually rarely use it. Then we also have barley miso and brown rice miso. Onizaki brand barley miso is a really delicious, well-made miso. And brown rice miso is also a really nice miso to have. So between the two, barley miso is a little bit more cleansing, or is considered to be. So and it also is associated with sort of a certain lightness. It's associated with springtime, and so a certain lightening up of the atmosphere. So barley miso is the one that we often recommend that people consume in the beginning. However, brown rice miso is a nice choice if you have intestinal issues, like issues with the large intestine. Brown rice can be a good choice. Either way, they both have beneficial bacteria. How much of that lives through the cooking process is debatable and depends on the temperature of the water. But generally, it's recommended not to boil the water, just simmer it gently. So we're going to do the barley miso today. You want a 2 to 3 year aged miso and the instant wakame flakes. And then we're going to do some daikon and some dried shiitake. So this is like a cleansing miso. Dried shiitake are helpful for cleansing excess minerals from the body. They also boost immunity and are known to have antiviral and anti-cancer properties. And the fresh daikon, as I mentioned earlier, is helpful for cleansing fats from the body. So I do just want to check on the arame first.